Good. I see a couple hands up still for getting those packets. We'll get one of those to you. And a couple right here, Kevin, and then a couple up front here. Yeah, you can tell by looking. I just want to. Okay, if you are together with somebody that can look next to them, you'll see this. We are going to get more printed if we need them. Our votes, unless we go to a written ballot, you won't need that. The only vote that would be election if we have nominations from the floor, and if so, we'll get those ballots to you right away. Otherwise, if you're able to share with somebody and look off, you certainly can. So just a note about our quorum, that several years ago, our quorum was 100 voting members that we needed present. And we always had about 92 in the room. And so we were always going to the fellowship hall, bringing people in, trying to get them in. And so the last time we updated our constitution, we made it 75 so that we wouldn't have to go to the fellowship hall and drag people in. Since our quorum number has been 75, we've never had less than 125 show up for the meeting. So thank you all for your participation as a part of that as well. I'm going to introduce Jeff Finnan, president of the congregation, who will call us to order.
Thanks, Gary. I don't know what has happened. Has there been that much more increase in interest in the annual meeting, or have the donuts gone bad? I can't imagine calling the Lutherans away from their donut to get into the annual meeting. Good morning, everyone. We'll officially call the meeting to order here this morning, and we were informed by Sarah that we do have a quorum present here this morning. So thank you for staying around and attending the meeting this morning. First of all, we're going to give a couple bits of information. First, we want to give an update on the campaign. You heard Pastor Nate say this morning that we're still in the midst of the campaign, and we're in the final stages of that campaign. But Gary, you want to give us an update on where we are for the campaign today?
Yeah. I'll first let you know that the campaign team is meeting early this week. And if you haven't had a chance to turn in an intention of giving card for the campaign, you have about 72 hours to get ahead of our reaching out to you. So we're going to be having a different ways of communication, of letting people know. We would love to have as many people participate as possible in that. And so that will be ongoing through these next couple of weeks. But as of this morning, because I did see one card in the offering plate, so I know that at least one came in to get us to 275 commitment cards have been turned in, and we are just shy of $5.5 million that's been attributed as part of those. So you have done wonderfully as a part of that. And so no, if you haven't had an opportunity to put that intention of giving card in, we invite you to still do so, to join in. We had mentioned at the beginning, our goal is to have 400 cards in. So if you're thinking, oh, maybe mine's not that important at this point, trust us, it really is. And for us to know the grand scope of what's happening within our congregation is still very much a part of what's happening in the campaign. When we went into this, we realized we would probably be into middle of June for those cards to come in, so we're still allowing you to do that. Please know how important your participation in any way that you're able to as for the campaign, how much it is valued.
So again, 275 and
275 and just under 5.5 million.
just under 5.5 million. So thank you all who have already given. Yeah, go ahead. That's great.
Yeah.
Again, and Stephanie, thank you for leading that team and all those individuals who have volunteered their time here over the past several months. It's been a great set of individuals helping out. Okay, so the next on the agenda is the formal approval of our budget. And that material should be in the handout that was given to you all. Just real high level, last week we held a town hall after our service to go through the budget that it was drafted at that time. We have made a few modifications to it, and we're presenting the budget as it is stated in your handout today. We went through and addressed a few questions last week, and as you can see in the numbers, that the total receipts that we're expected to receive this year will slightly exceed what our budget was for the year. So it'll come in right around 2.1 million. As all good accountants, Josh is very conservative in what he's estimating for our last month of June. I think we'll come in probably closer to about 2.1 million in total receipts for the year. You can see expenses have come in under where we had budgeted them for last year. It's about a 6% decrease from where the budget was. And you can see next year we're expecting those to go up. The biggest addition to our budget is we'll have a full-time faith formation with the addition of Addison for next year, as well as some additional costs associated with some of the repairs and maintenance going on around the church. Overall, we expect to break even this year, which is great news, given all the contributions from all of you. And we would expect, currently we're budgeting a slight loss for next year. We'll see how things trend. But that's where you can see the numbers coming in as we're estimating for next year. So, any specific questions here this morning?
I mentioned too, I'll help out with some of these as well, as Aaron Walter, our treasurer, was not able to be here this weekend. So Aaron asked if I'd be able to help in answering some of these questions along with Jeff.
So bear with me. Without seeing any sort of detail, I've got quite a few questions as a congregation. So I understand our salary expenses are 1.5 million. How much of that is actual fringes? It'd be good to break that out.
Is like actual what? Yeah.
Fringes.
Oh.
Pension, insurance, medical leave, that stuff. What percentage of the 1.5?
And last year we moved our benefits package from, I forget what it was, either Aetna or Anthem, I always forget which one, to Portico, which is the ELCA benefits package. And Josh, you might be able to help me out with that. That benefits package in my memory is somewhere around that 22%. Am I close on that? Yeah.
20%, Jeff just said. Yeah, because it's just helpful to see that because you can't control
Right.
So that just helps me see. So you mentioned at the town hall that praise Jesus, hallelujah, the staff got a raise this year.
Right.
Which I would hope we all think is needed and valuable. I mean, I would hope we all get that, right? That living in Denver, Colorado is not cheap.
Right.
Just because you're serving the Lord doesn't mean you should be in poverty. Our staff took on more work without an increase last year. So what percentage were they given this year? And do we believe it actually is even remotely close to cost of living?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just let me give you additional color from Stacy's question. Last year in our budget, we did not approve an increase to the staff salaries because of the giving at that point in time. So we did not budget. Just so you are aware, in January, as we were watching giving through the first 6 months of this fiscal year, we ended up giving the staff a bonus, a one-time bonus that I think was equal to 2%. Yeah. Okay, so that was a one-time bonus. It did not increase their base salaries, but we gave that to them this year. This year, this has not been communicated to our staff, but we have allocated an increase of somewhere between 3% and 5%. for this year. So that's what. Pastor Gary and his team are in the midst of going through all those evaluations for this year, and those will be decided here over about the next 30 days, and then will be communicated to staff in early July. Okay.
Can you remind me of that? I was trying to go through my list. How many are full-time, how many part-time? Because we have a lot more part-time folks than I could even count.
Right.
Because when you look at the number, it like makes your jaw drop. But when you pause and think about everything this congregation does and what it takes to do everything, just out of curiosity, it gives a little more color again to kind of what that big number is.
Yeah, so I believe we have 12 full-time staff or full-time equivalent. Some of those 30 hours or more a week is considered full-time. And then another dozen or 13, I'd have to go through my quick mental Rolodex to get the part-time people that we have. This does not include the Bethany Early Childhood Center staff. That's separate, and their budget is separate from what you see here as well. Yeah.
So my last, I told you I had a couple
yeah,
questions.
that's fine.
Thank you for bearing with me. Ooh, you got questions? I love your dress. Okay. I just got questions over there too. So my last question, and some of this is around in and out dollars, right? Like what we spend hospitality versus what we bring in when, like, is that, curious if that stuff's a wash. Those of you who don't know, I work for funeral business, so I'm always like, when was the last time like we increased cost and perpetual care for placement? We don't charge people to do funerals, but we do a ton of funerals.
Yeah.
Have we talked about, are we looking at like cost of living increase, staffing, thank God, getting a raise? Everybody who uses this building, are we thinking about, have we increased what we charge? And I used this building all the time when I was doing community outreach in town, because you have great parking, it's a great location, you can do 60 different breakout rooms. But I'm curious, have we considered what we charge people to rent this place for a concert, to do not the synod, but do a big event here?
Yep.
Are we thinking of, and have we at any point in time increased things like funeral cost, wedding cost, placement, those kind of things, not having any insight into it? Thank you, and I'm done, so she gets the mic.
And the placement cost for our memorial garden is not a part of this, but we do look at that, and we do attempt to be a place that's both affordable, but also that's within the parameters of what we'd expect to be around. Say again?
Got it, thank you.
I didn't hear what he said.
You got a mic. It's okay.
Oh, all right. Oh, we have a mic to take around. Thank you. Every group that uses the building got a letter from us in the spring. We did a pretty deep dive into cost of building use. And so every organization that uses Bethany received a letter that let them know what July 1 would bring and the costs of using the facility. In almost all cases, what they were paying increased slightly from what they had been doing. And so that was published across the board for everybody that uses Bethany, and we expect to see some increases in the amount of building use, or the amount of funds that come from building use as a part of that. Yeah, and we want to be fair and we want to be reasonable, but we do want to cover our costs as a part of that. I told some organizations one year, I said, I think that Bethany's your biggest supporter. For what you're paying to use the facility, did not anywhere come close to the cost that we have to manage their use. And so that's some things that we went through. Took several months of study to go through that, but then informed everybody who uses the building of that. Yeah. And I think back here,
Julie, did you have
still?
My name's Julie Miller, and Stacy, I like your blouse too. I think we were twins today. We're on the same wavelength. I have just a couple follow-up questions back to staff stuff. This would be a yes or no. Just the 3 to 5% increase, is that merit-based? So that means that there are some folks who may not get an increase based on performance? So I guess I'd like to advocate that because we have 2 years now without a cost of living increase, while the cost of living has definitely increased, that there be at least a minimum increase for all staff, regardless, that not be tied to performance, that not be a merit pay, but that be just an increase that we give to people for cost of living, and that merit pay and performance pay be separated. That's my first request. Do you want me to stop there or give you my other 2?
Yeah.
So that's question 1. Yeah. So we gave a range, Julie, as it relates to the 3 to 5%. So there will be a portion of that will be cost of living. So everyone will be awarded some portion of that, and then the other will be merit-based. So it's going to be a combination.
So everyone will receive some increase, others may get a little bit extra. Okay. Which maybe speaks to my other question, or one of my questions, which was we didn't have a children, youth, and family minister this year, and we didn't have a communications director this year. However, we still had really good communication, and we still had really good children, youth, and family ministries. So is there a plan for compensating the work that was done by the staff who did not have that in their job description but did that anyways?
So, as most of you may be aware, when we made some changes last summer and switched, we were in the process of hiring ultimately it was Addison for faith formation. The reality is Pastor Nate took on those responsibilities and shouldered a lot of that load. So if you see Pastor Nate walking around a little bit faster nowadays, it's because he's no longer burdening that. And then as it relates to communications, we largely outsource that position. And we are utilizing the services of a third party who has been really good. We're paying less for those services, but we're utilizing an outside third-party service. To your question, will they be recognized? Recognized financially. Great question. We haven't decided as to whether or not, in large part, Pastor Nate would be or not, but in large part, as we look at that, we'll keep that into consideration because obviously that goes into the merit-based performance.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I guess my request then as a congregational member would be that the compensation and recognition for that work be done above and beyond the 3 to 5% merit and cost of living increase. Those feel like separate things to me. And so I hope that will be above and beyond. And then you referred to staff bonuses, which I think is great, January staff bonus, but not every staff member received bonuses. So was that also merit-based? You think everybody received a bonus?
Yeah, my recollection is everybody received a bonus when we did that. Is that accurate?
If a person's position changed mid-year, that would have been figured out as part of that change. So if that makes sense. For somebody who started the year in their same position carried through, that would have been the case. We did have some staff who transitioned into new positions, and their compensation was sort of arranged as part of their new position at that point.
But those were minor. Most of them received the bonus.
So, excuse me, and Gary, my concern with that is that if you change your position mid-year and you get a raise because you're doing a new position, that's great. But then if staff is getting bonuses in January, a raise and a promotion in your job is not also then your bonus. Like there's 6 more months and then everybody gets bonuses except one person. That feels really inappropriate and awkward to me. So I would just really hope that we could make that right as well. I know that's not budgeted for in here, but those are the 3 things I'm really passionate about and want to make sure that we do, and continuing to take care of staff and making things really consistent. I definitely think performance-based, merit-based pay, there's something to be said for that, but I think we ought to look at those other pieces too and be consistent. That's all. Thank you so much for your hard work.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
One more back here, Jeff.
And thanks, Leslie. Just so you're aware, when you look at the cost, you can recognize our costs for personnel is 75% of all dollars, okay? And so that's an area that gets a lot of time and attention. And we appreciate all your comments, and those that care about the staff. It's something that's been top of mind for our executive council. Leslie.
Just a comment, you talk about last year and this year. Last year hasn't ended yet. It doesn't end until the end of June. So we still have time to continue our contributions.
Right.
Thank you, Leslie. There's a future for stewardship for Leslie Stevenson. She thought she was finished. Any further questions?
I'm new. My name's Michelle Eckert. This is my first meeting, so I just have two quick questions. One, you mentioned the revenue that comes in from people that use the facility. Where is that on this?
That shows.
So, yeah, that's
oh, yeah.
in that revenue line item where it says revenue from other. And just so you know, that is net of some cost, but that's generally where it's coming from.
And last question, on the executive council, there's a pretty big increase from actual forecast to next year's budget. What is that for, the increase?
Okay, so those, what you're referring are the costs associated with our communication support, our administrative support, and then our facility support. So those are the cost increases associated with that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay, I think we've addressed the questions. Thank you for your interest. And I believe we need a formal motion from the floor and then a second to approve the budget. Do I hear a motion for approval? Ted Zeman is a motion. Second? Jack Lynn, oh, I'm sorry, I see you now. And a second. All in favor of adopting the budget, can I just hear a vote of approval by yay? And what is the official?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion is approved and passed. Thank you. Okay, so next, we have a slate of new council members that are listed in the materials that was handed out. And those are the ballots that you should have received with all the individuals listed in their respective positions. So before we call for a slate of approval of the slate of candidates, I need to inquire as to whether or not there were anybody written in as part of that process. Anybody? What's that? Any formal nominations from the floor beyond what is being presented in the slate of candidates today? Okay, we do not see any. Therefore, that simplifies the process, and we will simply approve those candidates, the slate of candidates, through a simple vote again. Can I hear all those in favor of approval of the slate of candidates by a sounding of aye? Any opposed? Okay, that slate of candidates is approved. And for your benefit, let me just recognize those individuals. If you're here and I read your name, can you please just stand up? So, new on Executive Council, we've got President-elect Mark Lacey and Secretary Margie Krell right here. For Ministry Council, Julie Miller, Tori England, I saw Tori, Amy Rydell, and Debbie Neff. And then for nominating ministry team nominees, Scott Zimmerman and Darla Reeves. I don't think I've seen Darla. Oh, there she is. There's Darla. And then the Bethany Foundation nominees, Brad Haas, Clark Person, and Garth England III are all here. And then Senate Assembly, Ed Bloom. I see Ed. There's Ed and Becky Jones. Thank you all for your willing to serve. Okay, and now we are going to hear a report from our Bethany Foundation from Jean Scott.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm Jean Scott, president of the Bethany Lutheran Church Foundation, and this is our annual report. The Bethany Lutheran Church Foundation enhances the ministry of Bethany Lutheran Church by establishing stewardship opportunities in addition to the general operation of the church. The foundation gives scholarships and grants annually, which enrich or uplift the spiritual life of the church, provide a worthy addition or improvement to the church facility, or give needed assistance to a worthy individual, family, or Christian enterprise. As of March 31st, 2026, the foundation had $1,209,047 in the endowment. The foundation expends up to 5% of the fair market value of the net assets in the unrestricted funds as determined by the 8 quarters ending September 30th. The investment growth of the foundation funds has been 8.7% over the past year, April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. There has been 13.7% total growth over the past 2 years. In 2025, we awarded $7,500 in scholarships to college and seminary students. In 2025, $48,211 in grants to 13 organizations in our church and our community. All awards, including grants and scholarships, totaled $55,711, 3% more than in 2024. The foundation welcomes students to apply for scholarships for both college and seminary if they are attending ELCA schools or religious institutions from a denomination in full communion with the ELCA. The deadline for applications is July 15th. The foundation grant cycle considers grant requests submitted by the September 15th deadline. If any member of Bethany is an advocate for a nonprofit organization that could be served by a grant from the foundation, please encourage your nonprofit to apply for funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean, and to all those who are serving on the foundation. They do wonderful work, and thank you for your time and your commitment. Okay. Before we move to adjourn, I'll just ask one more time, is there any further business in the official business part of our meeting that somebody would like to bring forward? Anybody like to bring forward? Okay, I don't see any. Do we need a formal motion for the adjournment?
We can recognize and we can end it after the installation.
Okay, perfect. So why don't we, first of all, we'd like to recognize all those individuals who have been serving over the last 2 or 3 years that will be leaving either executive council, ministry council, or the foundation. And so let me just quickly, I know several of you are here present, so when I read your name, if you could just stand and remain standing so we can recognize you. And Gary, do we want them to come forward?
Oh, they can stand where they are, I think.
Okay,
If we want to bring them forward, we can do that.
Stand where they are. Okay, so first of all, on departing after serving on executive council, Allison Beaver, serving as past president, and Mary Knowles is our secretary. Ministry council, Paul Eppard, faith formation, Leslie Stevenson, hospitality, Julie Bach for outreach, and Andy Gerber for worship. And then from the foundation, Michael Neff, Julie Friedemann, and Susan Young. If we could all give recognition to those individuals for their service.
Oh, and Jeff, I also want to recognize Scott and Julie Miller, who served as our voting members to the Rocky Mountain Synod Assembly this past year.
Thank you, Julie and Scott. And as you're aware, we've had a lot going on, as always, here at Bethany. And so the time commitment and the energy from all these individuals has been fantastic. So thank you all for all your time, your dedication. It's been a pleasure serving with you all. Okay, so now we have installation of our newly elected individuals, and so we will have them come forward as part of that process. If you're here and you're now newly elected, if you can come forward so we can do the formal installation.
You get to ask them all the tough questions. We also want to thank the nominating team for their diligent work in bringing this slate of candidates to us. They were guided by Allison Beaver, who was our past president, and now let me think, it was Michelle Stone-Krause, David Erke, and I met with them. Yell out, Allison. Who were the other ones who were a part of this team? Oh, and Scott Hamilton, right. And Kathy Good. Thank you. So to the four people who served on our nominating team to bring us this slate of candidates, we are extremely grateful for your diligent and hard work and delighted in what you're bringing forward to us this morning. Well, these following people have been elected by the congregation to positions of leadership. We give thanks for the willingness to serve. In baptism, we are welcomed into the body of Christ and sent to share in the mission of God. We rejoice now that these friends will lead us in our common life and our mutual mission as a congregation.
There are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of services, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it's the same God who activates all of them in every one. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good.
You all have been elected. I heard it. The vote passed. To positions of leadership and trust in this congregation. You are to see that the words and deeds of this household of faith bear witness to God, who gathers us into one together with the whole church. You are to seek to involve all members of this congregation in worship, learning, witness, service, and support, so that the mission of Christ is carried out in this congregation, in the wider church, in this community, and in the whole world. You are to be faithful in your specific area of serving, that the Spirit who empowers you may be glorified. You are to be examples of faith active in love, fostering peace, harmony, and mutual understanding in this congregation.
So, on behalf of your friends in Christ, I ask you, will you accept and faithfully carry out the duties of the offices to which you have been elected? If so, say, I will, and I ask God to help me. People of God, I ask you, will you support these, your elected leaders, and will you share in the mutual ministry that Christ has given to all who are baptized? If so, say, we will, and we ask God to help us. Oh, I just stole your line, Deborah. That was your line. Well, this is still my line. I now declare you as installed leaders of this congregation. Almighty God bless you and direct your days and deeds in peace, that you may be faithful servants of Christ. Amen. As they return, will you again thank them for their upcoming service? I do want to also just mention quickly as we talk about staffing, that you will see in the next couple of weeks, there will be some positions that we're advertising for as a part of our staffing here at Bethany Lutheran Church. We're going to have a chance to expand a little bit our AV capabilities and a lot of what we're doing and presenting some of our teaching and other things online. So we'll be kind of reimagining that audiovisual team and what that means for Bethany as a part of that. You're also going to be seeing that we'll be advertising for an office administrator. After many, many years, sometime this summer, Sarah Hulslander will be moving into retirement, and so we want you to know, as you're seeing that advertised, that you'll know we want somebody to come on board so we can have that overlap period. Now, this is what I will say. Sarah's not retiring tomorrow, and you'll be let know well when that is, within a certain time frame. So don't ask her every week, all right? Just let her work, let her do her thing, and when it's time, we will have a celebration for the ministry that she has had among us. But we want you to know that is forthcoming and what that means for all of us on staff and in our office environment as well. I think that might be it.
So, again, thank you for all of you who have faithfully stepped up to serve. And you should have received a note from Allison. Your first day of service, July 21st, for our orientation meeting here at the church, 6 p.m., July 21st. Mary will guide you through that orientation, and she'll be sending out materials here before we get to that date. So, I think we've handled and finished everything here today, so let us thank you all for staying around. I believe
Jeff, I'll formally make a motion to adjourn.
We need a formal motion to adjourn. I see one and a second from Scott Zimmerman. All right, thank you all for coming. We officially adjourned. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And then, Rick, lead us out in a postlude. If you do have questions, please come up and feel free to check with Jeff or I. Otherwise, Rick, regale us.